At this time, I would like to welcome up our Honorable Sheldon Boyd, Secretary-Treasurer and Speaker of the Mille Band Assembly.
Good morning, everyone. Community members, visiting dignitaries, elected officials, Anishinaabe, and to our Indigenous brothers and sisters worldwide, Anin and Buju. On behalf of the legislative branch of the government of the Mille Band, I hope this day finds you well. And also to the people battling the wildfires out west, please send your thoughts and prayers. These State of the Band addresses are markers in time as we come out of the dark of the winter and the bright moon last night and the biting cold today, and we continue our journey as Anishinaabe, Mississauga, gunning the people of the Big Lake here. As Speaker of the Assembly and Secretary-Treasurer of the Mille Band, I'll be opening the third session of the 21st Assembly very shortly. This session is special, and that we'll hear from newly elected Chief Virgil Wind as he gives his first State of the Band address. Congratulations, sir, as a former District 1 representative and now the new chief. Nice. And we'll also hear State of the Judiciary from Justice Rhonda Sam. To those people who are here this morning for the first time, by statute, these addresses are given actually to the Band Assembly. And the Band Assembly consists of myself as Speaker of the Assembly, District Carolyn Bolio from District 1, Nayashing, Wendy Merrill, District 2 and 2A, Minnesinaquan and Chiminising, and Harry Davis here representing District 3, Ojibwe. Now, there were changes in the legislative branch this year where staff moved to different roles within the government, and new staff came on board to take over their duties. A longtime parliamentarian and clerk of the Assembly, Darcy Big Bear, was ratified as Commissioner of Administration this past year, and former reviser of statutes, Hannah Valento, moved into the Chief Executive's office to help out there. Thank you both for your service, continued friendship, and best wishes on your journeys. Because we have new faces in the legislative branch, Jared Miller, staff attorney, Breen Reinhardt, is the new reviser of statutes, and Danielle Smith has taken over the duties of parliamentarian and clerk of the Assembly. Just a quick note, Reen was out in front passing out the statutes today, and they've expanded into 2 volumes now, which shows progress on the lawmaking of the band. And they also published a couple books here, Reviser of Statutes, for everyone to see how those statutes are written. These are online, and Rules of Procedure for the Band Assembly. That's work of the staff as they continue to kind of expand and strengthen the legislative branch work product. Angela Potter, Harmony Stephen Powell, and also new frontline staff that came on this board this year as well. We welcome these people and wish them long careers in their duties of supporting the district representatives in the extremely important role of lawmaking and appropriating funds. Deanna Sam, Samira Kimpson, Brianna Boyd, Valerie Harrington-Wind, Mel Toll, Chris Waite, Joni Wall, Sarah Waite, and the OMB staff. All those people need to be recognized today. And to the people of the band, I thank you for allowing me to serve as Secretary, Treasurer, and Speaker of the Assembly during these years supporting the members of Band Assembly. Looking back during my 6 years in office, just quickly, the oversight of the band's investments, that has evolved dramatically and for the better. For over 20 years, there was one person and one company giving reports to the Band Assembly 3 times a year. Now, under new band law, and there are 2 major institutional investment level companies and an investment board of 7 members, all acting independent of each other for the interests of the band. This arrangement, along with statutory guidelines, are the proper checks and balances to make sure the band's investments have the best possible returns moving forward. Varus Investments, Ann Weistrick and Zeka Cardoso, Northern Trust Bank, Carson Waddles, the investment team of myself as Secretary-Treasurer, serving as Chair, Mal Toll, Commissioner of Finance. Is Mal in here? Serving as Vice Chair. Board members, Amy Jensen from the Lansing Group, Carol Pettifresso from the Bush Foundation, Andy Christensen from the state of Minnesota, Kate Davis from Grand Casino Hinckley, and Chief Wynn serves as a non-voting member because of division of powers. This new fiduciary investment structure provides your elected officials with the financial insight needed to responsibly guide the band forward. To all the people mentioned, on behalf of the people of the band, I thank you, all of you. So, earlier this year, when it became clear that there was going to be a change in leadership, I had a conversation with Jared Miller about the role of the position of chief within the tribe, and shared my thoughts about that. I said in one sense, the chief is the person that leads the people someplace, who's down the road calling people to come this way, looking for and talking about things that don't exist. That conversation made me think about our journey as a people and the change in leadership in the country and the landscape there. Now, nationally, it seems our country is divided with little to no middle ground. Comments on many levels are razor sharp, and the rhetoric in the news and social media seem to successfully target pure emotion on both sides, where experience and impartiality appear to be on the outside looking in. What catches my attention is the dehumanization of our indigenous brothers and sisters in political rhetoric and the surreal planned policies that fuel partisan emotion and orchestrate fear, where wretchedness to fellow human beings is once again clothed, made presentable, and invited to sit at the head of the table. Where conditions like poverty, addiction, and crime, though common to all people, have been assigned to people of color as racial traits to keep a partisan history of America intact. If you pull on one part of the web, you will find it's connected to many other parts, is still a lesson in progress. To myself as a parent, this polarization of the social and political environment makes me think about our journey as a people. to seek comfort, a place of refuge and strength in our history as Anishinaabe. Like many other families and parents here, sharing with their children, regardless of age, stories and comments they remember because they think it's important, because it gives perspective and helps things. Our culture collectively keeps breathing when this happens. I was talking with Samira one day, thinking about all these writings and let's see here. I got a missing page. But no matter. I was talking to my son, Sheldon, one day, and I was trying to give him a history lesson. And we were riding in the car, and I pointed back east. And I said, Sheldon, from what I hear from stories and things like that, we came from back that way. All the Anishinaabe here, and you see villages back that way and people talking back that way. And so it must have been that way. And I told him that of all those people that were coming this way, you know, we were kind of the people that came farthest this way, and we really haven't stopped. Okay, and these are the people who there's this huge linguistic footprint that exists across the center of this continent and all along and around the largest chain of lakes on this planet. That's the Anishinaabe. And one day, like I was talking with Samira one day, I was thinking about all these writings and stories about this journey where people were coming this way. In those stories, they say that they stopped, right? They stopped and stayed for a time. Must have been some good spots there. Must have been plentiful food, great location, comfort, okay? But I thought about when those stories say that they kept going. Now, how did somebody convince them to keep going? When you have a good spot, how do they convince them to leave the beauty of the spots where they were? If you traveled back that way, there's some really beautiful spots all along back that way, but they had to keep coming, and somebody talked them into keep coming. And that took leadership. Talking about things, they must have talked about things that were over this way, that didn't exist, that were down the road. Leadership was able to do that, or we wouldn't be here this morning as Anishinaabe. Maybe they seen something that was coming or seen something ahead that was good for us, but we're still on that journey. When they had people on pictures on the wall, when they had little financially and faced land steals and corruption, these guys here, Shabashkang, Ekwanebi, Sam Yankee, or Gabo, those people kept looking ahead and were thinking about us today. They pushed for separation of powers, for state grant funding language to be changed to exclude references to tribal sovereignty. They talked about things that didn't exist at the time. They spoke about enacting criminal statutes, revisiting Public Law 280, that transferred criminal jurisdiction on our lands to the state of Minnesota, and they called for the recognition of the Treaty of 1837. That was in the 1980s. Those things didn't exist. They spoke about what was ahead. Then gaming came. An explosion of financial activity that has changed Central America, Central Minnesota to this day. The band's financial success is primarily because of our location. Location, location, location. That's because our people stayed on their journey and they wouldn't move. We're in a good spot now, just like those other spots. Gaming revenue, investments, houses being built, large number of human services, services in general being offered to care for the people. But we have to keep going. Think about not getting too comfortable in this good spot, because things might be changing nationally. The surreal dialogue from those coming into power. Our friends on the national scene are leaving us openings, like the lady mentioned here, the path forward. For example, along with that, the Violence Against Women Act provides for tribes to prosecute non-Indians. And this person here, Senator Smith, she just mentioned another possibility where they're giving tribes those paths forward to exercise sovereignty. Those guys who talked about enacting the criminal code in the 1980s, if we're content with allowing others' jurisdiction to continue for 75 or 100 years, then we will have stopped on our journey. Like I said to Jared that day, that we're in a good spot. A term in office is 4 years, then 8 years. That becomes 10 and 20, 30 years since gaming came here. Then 40 years becomes 50, then 100 years quickly. And back when I told my son Shell, I said, an example of sovereignty is going to the county courthouse for things that we should be going to our government center for. Birth and death certificates, marriage licenses, deeds to property, in a more robust court system. Things don't exist. If we can change that, we'll be on the move again. Our history-making building blocks will be legislation and an exercise of tribal jurisdiction, along with those of concrete and cement. I don't know how long they stayed in those places a long time ago, but I told my son, that's what our history is about. Maybe the job ahead for these elected officials that sit here, that may be the job for these people here. Leadership. It's a job that I'm confident they can do, but they will need help. Help from everyone in this room. Think about our journey. And I wish you well, sir, on your journey ahead. To the young people, stay humble and be kind. Miigwech. Are you ready there, Danielle?
Ready.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the third session of the 21st Assembly on Tuesday, January 14, 2025. Is there a time, please?
11:10 a.m.
11:10. Roll call, please.
District 1 Representative.
Here.
District 2 Representative.
Here.
District 3 Representative.
Here.
We have a quorum.